That's something I've learned over the 800 episodes is like, you got to put your head down and do what you know is best, what you feel is best, and then cherry pick the advice you get.
Be the hero of your own story. Find the right guides and really lean into the daily choices you make every single day. Aim high and you will have choices. That is the most important thing. It's a choice to show up every day. It's a choice, and you have a choice, so make it.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 799. It was last week's live podcast, Designing the Best Habits to Accomplish Your Dreams. Today, for episode number 800, we are crossing another milestone. And when we cross milestones, we like to reflect on those episodes. So today's episode is the top 5 lessons from 800 episodes.
So here's what we're going to do. Kevin and I have learned quite a bit on this amazing journey. We thank you all deeply for helping us collectively achieve our dreams. We're helping you achieve your dreams, hopefully. You're definitely helping us achieve ours. It's a beautiful, beautiful, amazing thing. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take 799 episodes and invest all of the best that Kevin and I have learned into episode 800. Recently, Emilia asked me, what are you going to do differently in your 33rd year based on the first 32 years? And it's like, that's what we're doing, but in the podcast form. We've got 799 episodes prior to this discussing health, wealth, and love and life, and basically trying to figure out who we are, learn about the world. It's all about raising awareness so we can make more effective decisions. So I'm super pumped. Kevin and I prepped heavy for this one. We prepped for like a full 45 minutes, which is definitely a lot of prep considering we do 7 episodes a week. So we have the top 5 lessons from the last 800 episodes. And it actually wasn't that hard to come up with them because, for us, it's very clear what are the most important lessons to give you the tried and true fundamentals. So here we go.
And it's also, I know back when we did like 300, 400, 500, what we learned from those, we kind of went into our guest episodes. And now we're not doing that. What have we learned from our experiences? What have we learned from the listeners, from our clients? What can you take away that's really going to impact your life? That's the goal today. You want to start?
I do, brother. All right. So I was just drinking water mid sentence there. All right. Top 5 lessons from 800 episodes. The first one that we came up with was that what inspires one person might actually repel another, and that's okay. This one has to do with being yourself. Basically, over the last 799 episodes, I feel like I've really figured out more and more and more of who I am and been more and more okay with becoming that. I know for a really long time, Kevin and I struggled to figure out who our ideal listener was and what they need to hear and the challenges they go through. And while we always keep the listener in mind, what we now have done is actually integrated who we are and what we want to talk about with also what the challenges are that our listeners go through and what they want to hear. So we're always thinking about what the listener is going through, what they want to hear, what they need to hear, but we're also thinking about what we want to talk about and what we're passionate about, and we're trying to integrate those. And so this lesson is basically, listen, no matter who you are, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, some people are going to like you, some people are going to love you, some people are going to adore you, but some people are not going to like you. And that's okay. What inspires one person might repel another, and that's okay. That's the law of attraction working for you, not necessarily against you. Instead of this lukewarm middle ground of like, well, I'm not really going to stand out and say what I really think, feel, do, and believe loud and proud. Because remember, I can say something as simple as, I believe that hard work 7 days a week is really, really important for success. Anyone out there who doesn't believe that, that might repel them. And that's okay. And that doesn't mean you work all day, every day. Of course not. And we're going to get into that. But the point is that what you believe is not what everyone else has to believe. And I think it's the differences and the variety and the different types of people from the different types of countries. I think that's what keeps life interesting. And I no longer need everyone to agree with me, but I am going to be me. And if I'm going to be disliked for being me, at least it's going to be the real me.
And the other thing too is this helps build your self-worth. I told Alan this. I had somebody reach out to me and they said, "Hey, there's this new business venture I'm putting together. I'd love to hop on a 15-minute Zoom and get your feedback." And it's like, I thank you. I appreciate the fact that you thought of me, but I had to be honest. I had to be real and say, look, my schedule is very stretched right now. That's just not something I'm capable of doing. I think what happens is a lot of people appease and then they end up putting themselves in situations that they shouldn't be in the first place. When you live in your truth, yes, some people are not going to agree with you. Some people are going to want to see less of you and spend less time around you and give you less energy. But honestly, those are probably the people that shouldn't be in your life anyway. And if you can just understand what inspires one person may actually repel another, some people are meant to be inspired and attracted, and some people just are meant to be repelled. And that's totally okay. You're not for everybody. Not everybody is for you. And just to touch on Alan's point before we go to number two, when we started leaning into what we wanted to talk about, what we felt pulled to talk about, balanced with what do our listeners need to hear and learn, our listens went up. We had more listens in the last 3 months. Every single time it's elevated month over month. That's one of the reasons why, is because we're being authentic to who we are as human beings. And that's sustainable. It's not sustainable to play a game. You have to live in your own truth, because that's going to allow you to attract the right people, places, things, ideas, feelings, opportunities, all those things.
Before we move to the next one, I just want to give a quick example. Imagine, this is hypothetical, but I think this will land for everybody. Imagine you're at a wedding and a bunch of people are there that you haven't seen or met before. You end up at a table that isn't with anyone you know. Okay. And imagine you start talking about this amazing personal development book that you just started reading, and you adore it and you're super passionate. You start talking about the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. Some people at that table are going to be inspired, and maybe they'll come up to you later at the wedding and say, "Hey, I love personal development too. What was the name of that book again?" And then that'll spark a conversation, and you never know where that could lead, right? Now, imagine you say, "Hey, I just caught the last episode of Bachelorette," and that's okay if you watch The Bachelorette. The point is that someone like me who loves the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth might not be as likely to talk to you. And that's not a bad thing. It's okay. It's okay. The point is that what you are passionate about, the other people who are also passionate about that thing are going to be attracted. And so it's really important to understand that everything you are is going to attract the correct persons, places, things, and ideas, as long as you're being authentic. And it will also repel. So, very last example, I don't drink. The other people who are sober at that wedding are going to be more likely to spend time with me. The people who are not sober are more likely to be repelled. And I remember that. I remember when I was a heavy drinker, the heavy drinkers would spend a lot more time with me. And I remember when I started being sober at weddings, the people that were sober would spend a lot more time with me. So just understand that it's not personal. People value what they value. And if they don't value you, maybe it's because you don't embody what they value. That's okay.
I would seek you out. If I had a couple drinks, I'd still seek you out. I'd still want to hang out with you.
Oh, I appreciate you, brother. I really do.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
Number 2, do you want to hammer it?
Yes, being consistent is everyone's biggest problem, and they don't understand the long-term downside of that. So Alan has some visualizations that'll help bring this to light.
So basically, Kevin and I just put into a financial calculator $100. And we wanted to understand how much that $100 would become if it grew by 1% for 1,000 days. Now, the analogy here is that we're at 800 episodes, so we have 200 episodes more to go in order to get to 1,000. But the idea is, how much better will we be if Kevin and I get to 1,000 episodes and we just improved by 1% per episode? That means we just made the content a little better, or maybe we learned something about ourselves, or maybe we learned something about the world, or maybe we worked on our character, whatever. Maybe our speaking, blah, blah, blah. 1,000 episodes with 1% improvement per episode. If you put $100 into a financial calculator and you grow it by 1% for 1,000 days in a row, you end up with $2 million, which is 21,000 times more money. So if Kevin and I have improved by 1% per episode. By the time we get to 1,000 episodes in 200 episodes from now, we will officially be 21,000 times better at podcasting, better men, better in general. So for you, if you're out there listening, that's the power of consistent improvement over time. And Kevin actually wanted me to drop it from 1% to 0.5% and see what happened to the number. It went from 2 million down to 14,000. Okay. Now I calculated it out. If we improved by just 0.5% each episode for 1,000 episodes, we'd still be 140 times better than when we started. So consistency is still important, but that's how drastic even 1% more improvement is over the long run. Kevin had a great idea. He wants us to start recording natively on Audacity so that our audio quality will be even better. And right before this episode, we had a really hard time with Audacity trying to figure out how to make sure the mic volume doesn't change throughout the episode. And it's frustrating because it's like, that's going to be a great 1% improvement that we wanted to make. And we ended up realizing we don't have that much more time to prep for our live podcast tonight. Our live podcast tonight. And so, but that's one example. That's one example of a 1% improvement that we make every single episode is like, okay, now we're going to do Audacity natively and our episodes will have much better audio quality. So that's the way we think. And that's what we want to bring to you as another lesson is, listen, when we were at the beginning of this journey, 100 episodes in, we were in my sister's old bedroom. And then 300 episodes in, we were in my mother's basement. And here we are with these at-home studios, and our whole life looks completely different, but it wouldn't look so different if we weren't consistent.
Then the other thing too, consistently improving, because there are some people who are consistent, but maybe not focused on the improvement part. The other day, and this isn't, I'm not talking trash about this. It highlighted something for me. I was supposed to be on a podcast and I logged into the Zoom room and I was ready to roll. And Alan, you know my rule. If somebody doesn't show up within 5 minutes, I go. Like if you're 5 minutes late, I go. I can't sit around because I don't know if you're going to show up. And I actually gave this person 7 minutes. And I said, all right, I'm going to stay for 7. This is a good podcast to be on. Like I'm going to hang out. And they didn't show up. And I left. I was like, well, I'm not going to do this. I sent a message. Hey, I missed you. I'm 100% open to rescheduling. But I just couldn't stick around. And this person sent me a follow-up message. And again, I'm not talking trash, but it highlighted something for me. And he said, yeah, my computer froze. I was only 15 minutes late, but when I got there, you weren't there. And it's like in my mind, I always want to be off on the minute. I try to respect the guest's time. I try to respect Alan's time. If you're watching or listening, I try to respect your time. This person might be a consistent podcaster, but have they consistently improved to the point where they say, hey, that's on me. I always try to be 5 minutes early. So consistency is important. Consistent 1% improvements, that's a completely different life.
And I think that highlights another one, which is ownership. But that's a whole nother lesson. All right. So far we've got 1 and 2. Number 1 is what inspires one person might actually repel another, and that's okay. Number 2 is being consistent is everyone's biggest problem, and they do not understand the long-term downside of that. Hopefully you do now. Number 3, you have to be extremely, extremely careful with who you take advice from.
You want me to run this one?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
One of the reasons I think this is one of the most important is because as you continue to get to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, there's always going to be people that are trying to give you advice, whether they're perceived as more successful, whether they're perceived as more knowledgeable. And you have to understand who you should be listening to and what you should be taking as quality advice. Early on, Alan and I were told, like, you shouldn't work together. What are you doing? You're going all in on your dreams. Like, it's never going to work. Nobody makes money podcasting. And now even 800 episodes in, there's people who are like, 7 episodes a week is too much. You know, this guest you shouldn't have on. Why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense. Why are you doing this for free? And it's like, unless the person knows the game that you're playing and the outcome that you're trying to manifest, it's very hard for them to actually give you good advice, good, valuable, appropriate, customized for you advice. If Alan is playing a board game and I have no idea what board game he's playing and I don't know what the pieces do, I'm not going to be able to say like, hey, you should really move here. I don't know what you should do because I don't know what game you're playing. So I think it's important to particularly get this down early in your journey so you can really figure out what your trajectory is that you want to stay on, because there's always going to be people, and I don't mean this again, I don't want to sound negative here, but there's always people that are going to question you. And if you don't have that confidence in what you're doing, when you get to the next level, you might see somebody who is more successful than you, and they might question you, and you might say, oh, maybe that's the right thing to do. That's something I've learned over the 800 episodes is like, you got to put your head down and do what you know is best, what you feel is best, and then cherry pick the advice you get.
Hey everyone, I'm Helen Baker from Melbourne, Australia. I'm an entrepreneur and a client of Alan's from Next Level University. I've had many business coaches in the past, and I can honestly say that Alan is seriously next level, and excuse the pun, but he has this unique ability to help you find a solution to your business problems using his intellect and his business modeling and his genuine, heartfelt desire to help you achieve your goals. I can be vulnerable with Alan, I can share anything and feel comfortable in his presence, knowing that at the end of our coaching sessions, I feel empowered to do incredible things. So if you're looking for a business coach, I highly recommend Alan, because his advice and his ability to coach you will be instrumental in achieving your success.
And by cherry pick the advice you get, we'll give you an example. So we've rebranded from the Hyperconscious podcast to Next Level University, and that has become one of the very best decisions we've ever made. And again, I want you all thinking about you, not us, but this is a story that we can speak to. So Evan Carmichael's been a dear friend and mentor of ours for many years now. And he basically said, your name sucks.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't even remember you guys. Like I should remember you. And he ended up saying, you guys could be the next level guys. You guys say next level all the time. Like that would work. I would remember the next level guys. He didn't like Next Level University. So the first time he said the Hyperconscious podcast, the name sucks. And again, he was more kind than that. But basically he said, you need to change the name. Kevin and I had trouble with that. We got off the phone and we were like, listen, I don't know. And I said, Kev, we don't have to change it if we don't want to. Here's the question. Do we think that he's right? So that's my point. When you take advice, take it in and let it percolate, let it brew. And when that pot of coffee comes out, is it right for you? Is it coffee that you're going to like to drink? Okay. Interesting analogy. But my point is that we came back to him and said, Next Level University. And he ended up saying, honestly, I think university is a little bit too educational, and a lot of people are not liking the word university. A lot of people have an aversion to higher education. And Kevin and I rumbled with that, and we said, no, we love it. Next Level You, how to get to the next level of you, the best version of yourself. And that's perfect. So here's my point. We took his advice about hyperconscious after we let it percolate. And then we did take his advice about the next level guys, and that's awesome. Great advice. But we also didn't take his advice on Next Level University. And he said, okay, awesome. Hell yeah. And we kept coaching with him after that for a while. So the point is, whether it's Kevin coaching you or me coaching you or Evan Carmichael coaching you, first of all, make sure you're learning from someone who knows their stuff. It's not like Evan Carmichael doesn't understand branding, doesn't understand how to grow a channel. He has a huge YouTube channel, right? And so how to grow a community. He has a huge community. So take advice from the right person. Make sure you let it percolate within yourself. Be a student. Don't be a follower. Don't make sure that everything you do is the result of your own conclusion. That's a great Jim Rohn quote to live by. And that's what Kevin and I have done every step of the way. We've gotten advice from David Meltzer and Evan Carmichael and Michael Burt and Alex Goad and all these incredible people. We've gotten advice from Brendan Burchard and Anthony Trucks and Natalie Hodson and Chris Harder and Lori Harder. But we always let it percolate within ourselves, see what landed, and then took action on that. So you can't just be a follower. You got to be a student, and you got to eventually take ownership for what you end up deciding.
Wonderful. Number 4, no one fully understands the power of small compounded improvements over time.
So we already sort of did this one. This goes very consistently with number 2. Number 2 was more about being consistent and how that actually is everyone's biggest challenge. So if you're out there right now listening, it's important to understand that, and I said this on book club recently, not a lot of people. So we're reading a book called The Art of Impossible by Stephen Kotler, and he's talking about flow. Flow is basically like the zone. And what I said to everyone at book club, I want to say to everyone here to really drive this point home. When you compare yourself to other people who are successful or famous, there's some things that you're missing. Flow has four parts, 4 stages of the cycle. The first one is struggle. And this is the neurobiology, meaning you can't get into the zone without any struggle. Okay? The second one is release, when you break from frustration into fascination and eventually into transformation. So you go from struggle to literally a release of endorphins, neuroepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin. Flow is basically like a chemical cocktail of amazing brain hormones that put you in this unbelievable euphoric state. And so picture me right now. I feel like I'm in flow. It's great. Okay, so, or a great workout or whatever. The point that I'm trying to make here is that you're not only seeing Leonardo DiCaprio in the one thing that he's been consistent for decades doing, but you're also seeing him only in flow. You're seeing lights, camera, action, boom. So you assume Leonardo DiCaprio or whoever else, insert famous, successful person here, you're assuming they're that amazing all the time. Your favorite athlete, you watch them when the gun goes off, you assume they're that amazing in everything. They are not that amazing in everything. And how does this tie to number 4, which is no one fully understands the long-term compound effect of 1% improvements over time? Leonardo DiCaprio has applied improvement and consistency in acting over decades, ever since he was a little kid. So yes, he gets paid $10 million for a movie. He is not going to be paid $10 million to wash cars or to run businesses, because that's not where he stayed in flow. That's not where he stayed consistent, and that's not where he improved. And so if you're out there, what is your thing? And how can you improve by 1% at that thing over the long term, and then make sure there's a market for it as well?
Alan said to me when we were prepping for this, he said, hypothetically, say you're on stage in 10, 15, 25, however many years with Gary Vee and Kevin Hart, and somebody says, how did you get here? And I basically said, I found something and I showed up every single day. I delivered. I got outside of my comfort zone. I learned what I had to learn, but I did it consistently. I kept doing my one thing, no matter what, regardless of the outcome, for as long as humanly possible, longer than anybody else would have done it, because it's hard to do when you're not succeeding. And it was that consistency. So find, maybe right now you don't have your one thing. You're like, I don't know exactly what I want to do. That's okay. Point your ship in the right direction. Just point your ship in the right direction of the port that you think you want to go, and try a couple different routes, and you'll figure out like, that's not for me. That's more for me. That's even more for me. And then you'll find out exactly what you want, and just keep going. Just keep going. And I think of it like, when you find your course, you got to start throwing shit overboard of like, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need this ping pong table. That can go. That ain't it. I don't need this. That can go. That ain't it. You know, if you have like your one thing and then 3 to 5 hobbies, like that's a pretty damn good life. And you can really focus on the thing that you want to be the best at. I rapped the other day for the first time in probably 6 months, and it was awesome. But like, I don't have the ability to do that all the time anymore, because I want to be better at this: speaking, coaching, podcasting, the things that we decided. So find your thing and point that ship north, and you sail that thing. You just keep sailing it.
Imagine if you want to play professional tennis and you play 1,000 matches, and each match you get 1% better, whether you won or lost, you would be 21,000 times better at tennis. That is the mathematical part of number 4. No one fully understands the power of small compounded improvements over time. Number 5, and my timer went off, so I know we got to crank.
Yeah.
You will never be truly successful unless you first believe that you can. This is Kevin, so I'm going to let him go off.
The reason I think this is one of the most important lessons is because if you told me 4.5, 5 years ago, whatever it was, that we would be here today, number one, I wouldn't have believed you. Number two, if you put me here with the results I have today, but I didn't have the time and the ways to build the belief I have, I would feel like an imposter. I would feel like I'm going to lose this all at any given time. I wouldn't feel like I belong here, like I deserve this, like I earned this. So I think that belief is the most important thing when it comes to chasing your dreams, getting your goals, getting your dream relationship. If Alan and I were talking about this, if you are out there right now and you do not believe you can accomplish your goals, unless something wild happens and you get lucky, it most likely won't happen. And then if it does happen, you won't know how to maintain that and sustain your level of results. If you believe you can accomplish whatever you want and you're delusional about it, you won't accomplish them either. You need to have a belief that I can accomplish what I want, but if I don't know how, I can also figure it out. And for me, this is the most important one because this is the thing I didn't have. I didn't have the belief. Luckily, I have Alan and Taryn has been super supportive, and my friends have been super supportive, and they've helped me believe in myself. But without the belief, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to stay here, and I wouldn't feel like I belonged here. And I think that's a lot of people end up getting results that they didn't expect or believe that they could get, and they crash and burn. And we don't want that to happen to you. Work on your belief, small, outside of your comfort zone, little by little by little. Get results that you didn't believe you can get, even if they're not positive all the time. Just get up, do it again the next day, and focus on those 1% improvements.
How many times have you done something even though you didn't believe that you'd be good at it?
All the time. Like every speech, a lot of coaching calls. Those are very scary. A lot of episodes. It took me 150 to feel comfortable. Like right now, I'm very unresourceful because I'm super tired and didn't sleep well. Like this was a tough episode to say like, all right, I'm going to go do this. Like the belief isn't a 10 out of 10 in this very moment. But what else? What is the other option?
Yeah. Don't succeed. Don't build
succeed.
belief.
Right. And say like, well, you know what? Today wasn't my day. It's like, well, I'd rather do something and it go not 100% and say, today wasn't the best day. Like it wasn't my best performance, but I performed. You might go up to the plate and strike out 3 times. And then the next time you might hit a home run, but you can't hit a home run from the bench. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
And the key is that Kevin's worst podcast right now is better than his best one 100 episodes ago because of those 1% improvements we talked about. No, it's not even hopefully, it's definitely. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. You know what I mean? So
well, it's hopefully this if way. You're listening, you agree.
Yeah. Literally, if you showed up on this mic and we did an episode on any topic, and you compared that to 400 episodes ago, even if you were terrible today, based on your new heightened standards, you would still be way better than you used to be. Just from unconscious competency, just from the reps and perfecting over time. So very last one, and then we got to crank. So it's a bonus. Nothing is more important than the day-to-day choices you make. This is the same as the lesson that I got when I was 7 years old. My mom said, Alan, you can be a CEO or you can be a farmer. I'm going to love you either way. But if you aim high and shoot for CEO, you can wake up one day and decide to be a farmer, but it doesn't necessarily work the other way around. Every time I go on other podcasts, they always ask me, what's the one takeaway? Choices. Everything is a choice. We have some people who we're friends with who were told they would never walk again, and they're doing handstands on the beach. Okay? No matter what adversity has come your way, there is something you can do about it. Something. Eric LeGrand literally is paralyzed from the neck down, and he still has found a way to be fulfilled. And he started a coffee business. He started his own coffee shop. There's something you can do. You have a choice. Don't play the victim. Don't be the villain. Be the hero of your own story. Find the right guides and really lean into the daily choices you make every single day. Aim high and you will have choices. That is the most important thing. It's a choice to show up every day. It's a choice, and you have a choice. So make it.
What would the best version of you do? That's one of my favorite things of like, I told Alan, I'm 100% on my peak performance tracking for the last 5 days, and I'm going to do a full week. I'm going to hit 100%. I'm going to have the highest score on the team, and I'm going to crush it. It's going to be awesome. But it doesn't mean I always want to do it. It's like, what would the best version of Kevin do? He would meditate. Although I don't want to, he would go meditate. Although I don't want to send a message to a potential client, I'm going to do it because that's what I'm supposed to do. That is what the best version of Kevin would do. And I believe when you start living in alignment with what the best version of you would do, you start to get the results that the best version of you would get. And that's not a coincidence. It's not a
It's
coincidence.
fire.
800 episodes.
That was fire right
I
there.
appreciate that.
That tail
I'm
end
very,
right there.
I'm very
Good.
not in flow. It's very not a lot of sleep and a
That
lot of
was
caffeine.
good though at the tail end though.
I
When you
appreciate
do
that.
things in alignment with the best version of yourself,
You
you
know?
get the results that the best version of you would get. That's fire.
I
It's fire.
appreciate that. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that. Jeff, it's been a pleasure. 800 episodes together.
800.
And this is
Cheers
it.
to that.
This is it. This is the last one we're ever going to do. So. Cheers. I don't have any
So
coffee
take
left.
care. I'm going to take off.
Next Level Nation, again, we are grateful for each and every one of you. We're blessed every time you've ever sent us a message, every review you've ever left us. We got 3 reviews yesterday. Thank you to everybody who left us reviews. But we literally are just getting started. I know we've said that a lot, but this is our favorite thing in the world to do. And if you're watching or listening, you are a huge reason why. We have an amazing community, the best community in the world. And I'm looking forward to the next 200 so we can get to 1,000 episodes, but just continuing to do this every day forever. We're blessed. And like I said, a huge part of that is because of you.
We're coming up on 5 years. We started this in 2017. And I'm just excited. This is the very, very, very beginning. Next Level You will be, I just want to give everyone certainty. Next Level You will be in your pocket from anywhere in the world, completely free, every single day, forever, for as long as Kevin and I are able to grace this earth. So we appreciate each and every one of you. We are literally at the very beginning, and I'm looking forward to 1,000 episodes where we are, assuming we improve by 1%, 21,000 times better men.
March 26th, come see Jeff 1 and Jeff 2 in person live. We're going to be doing, now I'm not sure, it's either going to be Worcester or it might be close to Boston or Providence. Again, we'll get you more details, but it is our first Next Level live. We're going to be doing events and really, really lean into that because that's where you can facilitate the greatest change. When you do something in person and you meet a friend, you meet a mentor, you meet a mastermind partner, that's where things really start to pop off. So join us. We will have more information as we continue to get clear on the event.
Also, group coaching. If you are listening to this, you heard at least one of the mid-shows about group coaching. We've had 4 different groups graduate. Ambitious Army, Gratitude with Attitude, Pursuit of Excellence, and the Tribe of Abundance. I remember all those names. I remember the people in each group. Achieve more in 90 days than you ever have before. Peak performance tracking, Kevin and I, bi-weekly calls. Go to nextleveluniverse.com or click the link in the show notes. Click group coaching, sign up. It's $147 per month for 3 months. You will get way more value. I would argue 10 times the value, if not more. And same with many of the people that have graduated. We've had several people go through it more than one time. That's how good it is. Please sign up.
Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 801, it is last week's live Q&A, and this goes hand in hand with what we talked about today. Why do so many people have an aversion to tracking their habits? I can say that has been the biggest differentiator between where I was and where I am today, so make sure you listen to that episode. As always, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.
Bye.